we're live. I'm checking everything else. Looks like everybody's live. It's still. There we go. Now we're live. It took a full minute. It's not my fault, folks. It took a full minute to go live. In case you missed the intro, Tim Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Jill Savinello from Chicago, bitching about the weather, which is easy talk to do while the YouTube guinea pigs figure out to put one and one together. Yeah, and that's how that works. So that's the official term for it, by the way, too. It's guinea pigs behind the scenes. That's what's going on. So let's skip the ads. I always kind of skip it. There we go. We're live. I always gotta make sure we're live. So here's the deal. I'm changing up the live stream a little bit, making a couple changes, a little tweaks to the system. So I got some feedback, and I think I was pretty accurate criticism about last week's live stream where we talked about gap insurance and leasing and this, that, and the other. And I was like, we don't buy vehicles all the time. We're not in finance. Why the hell are we talking about finance all the time? So I was like, Jill and I are really good journalists, if I should say so myself. Self-plug. And we do really good job with the news, covering the news, making sense of it. And we do a really good job doing reviews. So why do I always go off on a tangent talking about something else, putting Jill in a spot where maybe she's not comfortable talking about something else, and me in a spot where I'm making crap up? And then I'm also thinking, too, I've restarted the podcast and putting the podcast out. I pay the whatever the month to host it. And I thought, podcasts really work out well when you have episode numbers. That's the heart of the podcast, because then you know where you're at in the episode number. So I thought, two birds, one stone, live stream plus podcast. And I thought, let's just talk about the news. We're good about the news and stay on target, because you guys are talking about the news anyways on live stream comments as it is. So why not we just talk about the news too? Because we're all talking about the news. I mean, that's what the channel is. It's Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Talk. So I have this vision that we're going to start doing these. Same thumbnail every week, same discussion point. Jill and I are going to find the items about news to talk about. And here's the thing. We get a large variety of items, of news items, that we don't actually cover. Shocking. But if you release the price on your new vehicle,
here's if we don't cover it.
It's a small item. It's just yeah. But it's we have all these small items. Jill and I have all these small items that we just don't cover because they're not big enough for a video, and everybody's covered the same news, and we don't feel like covering the same everybody else. We want to be different because we're a little different, right? So I was like, well, let's do it here. So I got busy over the weekend, did not do the Ford Super Duty news, and it wasn't big news. The 2022 Ford Super Duty got announced, and I should say this accurately, other channels on the internet, on YouTube, as the folks in Boulder refer to me this week, other channels on YouTube have covered this extensively. I don't know why. They made a 10-minute video on it's a new 10-inch screen, Sync 4 on the higher trim levels, Sync 3 8-inch screen on the XLT, and a 4 or 5-inch screen. Let me look at my thing here. It's like it's not a big screen on the XL.
Headline on the press release, and they're saying 12-inch screen.
Yeah, but look, on the XL series trucks with Sync 3 available, which is a 4.2-inch screen on the XL, the XLT has standard an 8-inch center touchscreen, and Sync 3 are standard in XLT. Because XL and XLT always get shafted, right? So they always get shafted. My question is...
But hey, a 12-inch screen is coming.
Right. Well, I mean, so they start top, and they work their way down with these screens. And so, like, with my truck, I had the 302A high package, which got me a 12-inch screen. So I'll be curious, when the build and price comes out, can I build and price a Super Duty, the same as my F-150 that I bought for the channel for the year, with the same 302A high package with its 12-inch screen? Because right now, the XL, like I say, gets 4.2-inch, and then the Sync 3 available, 8-inch touchscreen with the XLT, which is standard. So, the lower trims will get shafted on the deal. The other big news is that the higher trims have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Jill is clapping over there because she loves that. And Lariat and above, landscape, yeah, 12-inch screen. The other thing is it's the color. So like there's a new Lariat, a new styling. Lariat sport appearance package includes body color bumpers, exterior mirrors, and grille, as well as a chrome exhaust tip and black platform running boards. So more accessories they're putting on there for available. And the wildly popular black appearance package, which I actually see quite a few of these, is now being available on XLT models for 2022. It includes 20-inch ebony black, because you can't have just black, you have to have ebony black. Painted premium wheels, body color front and rear bumpers, grille bars, 6-inch ebony black riding boards. Even the front and rear blue oil ovals have been painted black. The painted black logo is stealing a page out of GM. And GM told me that they had to fight tooth and nail with their marketing department to do blacked out badges. And those blacked out Chevy badges look pretty badass. And they were like, the parts department at Chevy dealerships can't keep them in stock when they first did that because people wanted them so badly. And so now Ford's like, we can do blacked out too. Yeah. So they're doing blacked out. And new colors inside and out include the Baja. Why is everything going to be Baja these days? Baja interior for the Lariat, a navy pure, because, just a regular navy, right? Chicago. Yeah, yes, right.
Navy pier.
Well, right, because it's got to have a Chicago influence, right? Because a lot of people drive 3/4 tons through Chicago. And a light slate interior for limited and an Atlas blue exterior color. So those are your new updates. It still has the same engine, all that kind of stuff. Same Copilot 360 is standard and optional. Is available with a variety of standard and optional Copilot 360 features, which means that the lower trims XL will get standard cruise control, no cameras. You got to pay the money to get the higher features. So that was a new Super Duty. And what was that, Joe? Was that like 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Like why is that going to take a 10-minute video?
20 minutes.
It was not 20 minutes.
I'm kidding. You just made it seem like 10 minutes.
Hey, knock it off. All right, Jill, fine. That's my news. I have a look at the clock. What is your news?
Well, all right. So actually, we do have a couple of things queued up, but the thing that I want to mention first is Grand Wagoneer is going to be launched tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow and tonight.
For real. Well,
Right.
they're doing the actual reveal tomorrow at I think it's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or it's tomorrow morning-ish is when they're going to be doing the live reveal so that everybody can see it. But we have access to material a little bit before that. And it will, I'm currently writing my stories, and I think it will be going live before midnight my time. We'll say that. I have to recheck the embargo. I'm always so paranoid about embargoes because I don't want to put information out there before it's supposed to be out there. And
let's be clear.
So
explain what an embargo is, though. I mean, we talk about this stuff all the time, but an embargo is
right. ... No, so basically, journalists tend to get information before the general public receives it, and we will. So I sat in on a briefing last Friday for the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer, and so I got to see the vehicle. I got to learn about all the details. They didn't give us any of the specifications or photos or videos or anything like that until I think it was this morning. So they usually give you the materials 24 hours before the actual live reveal to the public happens. And then they give you, so it's this weird layering effect. So I saw stuff Friday, got the information this morning. I'm allowed to release it to you sometime later tonight, early tomorrow morning, and then you will get public access to whatever information you want from Jeep directly, after they do their reveal at 11. But an embargo, to go back to answer the really long question, the short question with a really long answer, is it's basically a deadline that I can't post anything before. So very often when we go on press drives, we'll go a month in advance. And they will say, so I just drove the Lincoln Nautilus this week, but I can't tell you what I think about it until Monday. So I can post pictures, I can post videos of things not with me telling you what I think about it. in terms of its driving impressions. So how it rides and handles, I can't tell you that. But I can tell you on Monday, and that's when everybody can tell you. So basically, they're giving you a level playing field. So they don't want somebody to break the news before somebody else so that they can get a leg up. And, there are some publications out there that shall remain nameless that habitually break the embargoes and they don't get included. Yeah, it sounds like Jalopnik.
Yeah.
But it's not that. And so they are well known for breaking embargoes. So very often they will not get invited to these events, or they will not have access to this information. And because they don't, the automakers want everybody to have a level playing field. So basically, by attending the background, you agreed not to release the information before they tell you to.
Yeah. So
that's a really long answer to what is an embargo and has nothing to do with the news item I wanted to talk about.
Right. So again, the ball's in your court. We have the Wagoneer tonight, and you've done so. The website.
Yes.
Let me clear. The website's going to have the Wagoneer information. Nothing against on the YouTube channel, but frankly, everybody's going to cover the same information, and I get bored of doing that on YouTube channels. But the website's going to have it. Jill's going to have her story on the website. She promises me. Last Minute Jill. That's her nickname. So Last Minute Jill has the information on the website. So
hey, I work better on a deadline.
Always newspaper
and
with you.
And it'll be amazing.
Always newspaper with you. So you did the Wagoneer and you did the Grand Wagoneer background because your boss was nice to you and let you do both.
Well, it was at the same time. So
right.
There was no way to separate that, but nice try.
But wait a minute. So, but wasn't the other one, what was the other one you did that was like $100,000 and had the map of Detroit and the skyline or something like that?
Oh, that was the concept. And that was actually in Chicago. So they brought the car to Chicago and invited us to take a look at the concept. So not the actual vehicle, but I think put video out there about the concept. And yeah, that had the map of Detroit and some features that we pointed out. But no, so tomorrow is the actual production vehicle of the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer. Now,
you can't tell us anything about it, but is it... You can't tell us the details, but I want to ask you this.
No.
Does the Grand equal Grand? Is the Grand that much better than Wagoneer? Does it really stand out to you in your opinion?
Can't tell you that.
Well, I'm just... All right. So
I can't tell you that. I'm not breaking the embargo. He's trying to make me mess up.
No, I'm just like, ballpark feeling. So anyway, so we have the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer are embargoed tonight. And that's... And
yes.
but we know that the Grand Wagoneer concept was a 2-row or 3-row? 3.
3-row.
This is their first time doing a big 3-row FCA / Stellantis, but recently.
Back up to last month, they just launched the Grand Cherokee L.
Right, but isn't that like the Lexus RX L? It just happens to be a little bit bigger, and it's got the Jill size seat in the back.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. They say that it's usable, but Kia said the 3rd row and the Sorrento was usable, and I'm like, usable for who? Somebody without like legs? I don't know, because it was just like I couldn't fit back there comfortably, and I'm the size of a 10-year-old. But no, so so the interesting thing is there has been a lot of discussion about, okay, they just launched the Grand Cherokee L, which is the 3-row version of the Grand Cherokee. They have not released the 2-row version of the Grand Cherokee yet. That's to come. And why have, and I'll be honest with you, when I was looking at the Grand Cherokee L press conference, I was like, wait a minute, what happened to the Grand Wagoneer? Because it was going through my head. I'm like, this is a 3-row SUV. The Wagoneer's a 3-row SUV. Is there room for both? And during the Grand Cherokee press conference, they said there is room for both. They are both coming, and they will have a very different customer. And I intend to touch on that a little bit in my story. And I may do a comparison of sorts between the Grand Cherokee L and the Wagoneer. So stay tuned.
If you guys don't know
but yeah,
this,
so that's coming up.
The look Jill's giving me is the look that I'm going to say something, Tim, and you have to back me up in my article. That's the look she's giving me. That's what happens. She gives me this look, and she's like, She may insert a word in there too. She has this word thing. I need to invite you to this Facebook group, by the way, too. Erin's got a Facebook group about inserting words into stories that so editor.
Oh, I'm in it. I'm in it.
Are you in it? You are in it.
Audacious. Yeah.
What you?
Audacious.
So so here's the deal. I don't care about the website.
Challenge.
No, I care about the website, but I gave Jill control of the website because it makes sense to me. I'm too busy on YouTube and too busy that kind of stuff. But I do occasionally read her stuff because I want to make sure we're accurate and what information I have then. And she inserts words that it's like a TikTok word. It's not anything that people normally say. So we discuss
it. It is stuff that people say.
It is not.
What was the last word that what was the last word that I put in there? I'm trying to remember. And you were like, "What in the hell is this?" And I was like, "Seriously?" Oh, well, that was one when I said seriously and I spelled it SRLSY. And you were like, "No, you can't do that."
Do you know you said agog in the
agog?
I know. Your vocabulary is extensive.
What is wrong with agog?
Because nobody says agog except for like some weird Monty Python movie.
Okay, does anybody out there use the word agog?
Right.
And by the way, that was not part of the Wordsmith Challenge. Like, that is a word that is in my lexicon.
Lexicon? Comment what's going on. Philip's talking about what's so exciting about these vehicles because they look different. You'll learn that when we get past the embargo. There's been a lot of conversations about the next Ford Super Duty, whether it's going to be the Rust Edition on the exterior or not, to match the undercarriage. I have no comment on that. Harry is here. Hey, Harry made it. Harry's a good friend, and he comments quite a bit. Michael Lupar is here. Wagoneer compete more Navigate and Escalade. There you go, Jill. There's some conversation for you. Yes. Nope. We got agog. Nope. John saying no. Logan uses it. Agog. Very good use. So you're getting kudos from the Scrabble crowd. Are giving you kudos. Yeah. What is a lexicon? Yes. Exactly, Doug. Exactly. Lexicon.
Cool that. SHIT. That's all I have to say to you.
Moving on to more Jeep news. I have more Jeep news that we didn't cover. Jeep Wrangler, Gladiator, and Ram pickups are among the top 10 in the Kelley Blue Book 2021 Best Resale Value Awards. Now think about this a little bit. Is that best resale value, and we've done stuff on this, is the Jeep Wrangler is one of the worst reliable vehicles on the planet. Overall, on all reliability state, and you talk to anybody who owns a Jeep Wrangler, they don't argue with this. Jeep Wranglers notoriously have problems, and yet they have massive resale value, which is such a weird irony. It just doesn't make sense. The Ram pickups have notoriously had reliability problems, and now they're best resale value award winning. And Jeep Gladiator, which is interesting because Jeep Gladiator is a Wrangler with a bed, basically, kind of how it works out. But so it's just fascinating to me that, and this is the second year in a row for Gladiator, and a second year in a row for Ram, and that's a Ram 3/4 ton and 1 ton best resale value. So that's a category that's typically dominated by Asian automakers. We're going to say that it's not accurate to say it because of these global companies, but if you can say that. You can say Toyota, Nissan, Honda are typically best resale because they don't have all the bells and whistles, good reliability, which reliability usually equals resale value. It's usually 1 + 1 = 2. But in this case, I don't know. It's very interesting news, and I was thinking about this too. It's like, it could be just all the bells and whistles because I'm telling you that truck customer is changing. The truck customer is changing. They're looking EVs now. They're looking at EV trucks now. I had a guy tell me that he went to buy a conversation today. I was on the phone with the guy today. He went to buy a Chevy Silverado Trail Boss, but because it did not have adaptive cruise control on the Trail Boss, it only had the camera system, and they couldn't make the camera system work on the Trail Boss, that he went Nissan Titan Pro 4X instead. And that was his deal breaker because he does long distance drive from Michigan to Florida. He does long distance drive towing. He does long distance drive, and he's like, look, he goes, I'm on the road. We put a lot of miles in my car and trucks he's got. And he's like, I don't want to deal with cruise control. He goes, I shouldn't have to. It's adaptive cruise control. Set the number, change lanes. It's much more relaxing, not as stressful. I can drive long distances, not much driver fatigue. And he goes, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid to care about a truck that way. But that was the deal breaker. And so now you have that. You have Ram interior looks amazing. You have Jeep Gladiator style looks pretty cool, different styling. And now you have Kelley Blue Book Best Resale Value Award, which I don't know about you guys. I use Kelley Blue Book all the time. I mean, I'm always like checking at Kelley Blue Book. I'm looking at the values. I've looked at my F-150 hybrid a few times. They haven't had the information up there yet. I keep looking because am I going to lose my ass? That's my biggest question. I mean, so I keep looking at the numbers. But yeah, so Kelley Blue Book was going, and so it is. So Doug says they're saying older Wranglers are actually turning out to be a reasonable investment if they aren't beat to hell. It's really interesting. I see a lot of older Wranglers. It's just that capability, that smaller, short wheelbase, all the capability in that short wheelbase, and the fun. You put big tires on it because solid axles, front and rear. You just do whatever you want to do with it. I mean, you really can. I mean, it's such a good platform for that. But yes, so Kelley Blue Book resale. So that's what I got, Jill. What do you got?
Do we want to go to JD Power?
So yes, let's go to JD Power, but we have to talk about JD Power a little bit. So let's do this. No, let's do this before we get to JD Power because there's a good JD Power information story. Did you know this, Jill, that there is a huge controversy online with JD Power? Yes,
actually, I did know that, but only because you told me.
I've been a journalist for a decade now, and I didn't realize this till I started doing YouTube. And Alex on Autos, Alex Dykes, who's a friend of mine, was on. We were on Facebook back and forth. A good friend of mine, and he had it on his channel too. There's controversy on JD Power. People think that JD Power is bought and sold. They think all the awards are bought and sold, and if you buy, one guy told me, he says, if you buy enough ads, JD Power gives you the awards. And I'm like, what ads and what? And he was like, what do you mean ads? And I'm like, ads in what? He goes, ads in their magazine. I'm like, JD Power doesn't publish a magazine. And I'm just like, there is this huge thing. I actually had to stop publishing some JD Power information because I got tired of the comments. Because it's insane. It is. And people think that JD Power is biased, and then they think Consumer Reports is now biased, even though they do. To me, Consumer Reports and JD Power put out a very similar survey. I mean, it's similar information.
Well, so I mean, I think the difference is the Consumer Reports information comes from people who subscribe to Consumer Reports. Whereas I think JD Power sends out a survey to basically everybody who bought a new vehicle. And the study we're going to discuss is not the initial quality study, which I think often raises a little bit of, what the heckness. And that's, somebody who's owned a vehicle for 3 months. So what we're looking at is the dependability study. And so when we talk about vehicles that have won, whatever in that category, we're not talking about 2021 models. We're actually talking about 2018 models. So we're looking at a vehicle that is 3 years old. And I'm going to read this straight from the JD Power website. But this study specifically looks at the number of problems per 100 vehicles experienced in the past 12 months. So we're looking at 2018 models and like a 12-month period. So it's not just, all right, what did you think of this car? It's problems per 100 vehicles. So whenever they give a ranking or a score or whatever, it's out of 100 because it's out of 100 vehicles. If that makes sense.
Right, yeah. I'm aware of what it is. Not sure others do, but yeah.
Okay, but I'm just explaining it to everybody else out there.
Sure. Out there in the interwebs, yes.
Yes. So, now can I go talk about the study?
Please. The floor is yours.
Okay, because we're looking... The floor is never truly mine. What the heck are you talking about? But specifically, Tim wanted to point out one vehicle that won the award for the highest ranked vehicle. Actually, I think number 1 and number 2 are very interesting because he's looking specifically at the midsize pickup. And I'm just going to pause for a moment and I'm going to let you guys formulate in your head what you think the most dependable, according to the study, pickup truck is in the midsize segment.
think about that, but I have to state Gene's comment. Gene said he thought Lexicon was a Chinese knockoff of Lexus.
Their audio system, right?
Well, yeah. Right.
Levinston Lexicon, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But that was our intermission, and so now I will tell you the number one most dependable truck is the Nissan Frontier.
Okay.
And this is a 2018 model, so keep that in mind, 2018. So not as completely long in the tooth as we are at this moment. But number two is probably going to fire people up as well. Honda Ridgeline.
Yep.
So the top two most dependable trucks, according to this study, Nissan Frontier, Honda Ridgeline. So, and the midsize trucks.
Nissan Frontier hasn't been changed since like Lincoln was in office, so it makes sense that they worked out the bugs.
Yeah.
And that makes total sense. But what's interesting about the Honda Ridgeline is that this week I was quoted in Auto Week with my friend Mark Vaughn and Auto Pacifica's Ed Kim. Mark Vaughn wrote the story. Ed Kim was in it as well. A couple other people were in it as well. And so I still say to this day that there's nothing more controversial than the Honda Ridgeline in the truck segment. I mean, what my post on Facebook, I think it got 100 and some comments in the first 4 hours. And then people were arguing back and forth. And I tagged the chief engineer for Honda, who's in charge of the Ridgeline, and he just stayed out of it because he was like, no way.
He's like, nope.
And Alex Dykes was involved. A couple of friends were involved, and it was like stating statistics and all sorts. The thing that comes down to it is the Honda Ridgeline has a frame. However, they say that if the frame is built into the vehicle, then it's an SUV. If the frame is connected to the vehicle at all, it's an SUV. If its frame is separate and the body is put on top of it, then it's a truck.
So then you have SUVs that are trucks?
So like you have the Yahoo. You have the Yukon.
That's it.
I was thinking Yukon Tahoe. I put it together Yahoo. So the Yukon and the Tahoe and the Escalade and the Suburban are all basically trucks. People call them trucks all the time because they are. They're body on frame SUVs. I don't remember Nissan Armada. Is that a body on? So the Sequoia, right, is a body on frame. I think Armada's body.
Yeah, and the Armada, I believe, is body on frame as well because Pathfinder is not.
Right, well, because it's like a Titan, basically, with an enclosed bed. So, I mean, that was the distinction, was whether the body was bolted to the frame. That's a truck or not. And, so there's conversation about Cybertruck. Cybertruck is an exoskeleton, so the Cybertruck is a crossover. But we don't know what a crossover actually is. Just like Nactoy doesn't know what a utility vehicle is. I don't know. It's just interesting discussion. Honda Ridgeline is easy to be reliable and you sell 100 a year, Sean says. And that's true. I mean, they have a low volume, but I don't think... The thing that Honda did really well was that they used existing platforms so that they could, from a business standpoint, it's really smart, right? You share your costs across the platform. And then that way you lower your risk. And so they did that really well with the Ridgeline. They're like, okay, with extra capacity based on the Pilot, put that bed on there, and we have a truck. And people want a truck anyways, and there you go. It made total sense to me. I'm not knocking the way Honda did it. I get in the Ridgeline all the time, and it's good for what it is. It doesn't appeal to me. And that's not marketing thrown down my throat. It's just, it's fine. And I can't wait to drive the 2021, which is, I was quoted in the article as a 2021 out, and apparently it was an embargo on this, and being in Nebraska, not top of the list for getting vehicles to me all at once. So, yeah, I will get that eventually and do some stuff with that, because I find it very interesting. It's very, like I said, controversial. I can see the controversy every time I get into it, but, yeah, it's very interesting. Cybertruck could actually classify as a three-quarter ton, which makes a lot of sense. It actually really is three-quarter ton based on the size. They talked to California. Oh, did you see the news? I don't mean to go down the Tesla road too far, but Tesla filed a thing with the state of California, and they finally claimed that autopilot wasn't exactly autopilot.
Yes,
Finally.
I did see that. I know.
Ugh.
I mean, what 10 years later? Like how many accidents and, stupid people later?
Yes. Yeah, it's remarkable how long it took him to actually say it's not autopilot. And Philip's gonna chime in here. I know Philip Emmanuel's on the bit. He's on his laptop. He's got the keyboard in his hands. He's firing off comments. Slow down there, buddy. It's driver safety aids. Autopilot was a terrible name.
Yep.
It's just a bad name for that.
You could even say hands-free technology. I think you could say self-driving technology, but you can't call it autopilot and you can't call it completely autonomous.
Right. Gene has a very, very interesting definition of a truck. He says, if you can throw a pile of dead fish in a bed, it's a truck.
Like that. I think we should use that from here on out.
It reminds me of Grumpy Old Men. It's like this whole thing, like, Grumpy Old Men, they put the fish in the bed. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. Anyways, so that was kind of that news there. I thought it was really interesting. That created shockwaves in the auto journalism world because we've been fighting with that for years, but that's not a bed. So let's move along.
But wait, did you just see Philip agreed with us?
He did. I feel
I'm just going to point that out.
I know. Hell is frozen over. Anyways, so I think, I think there's a lot going on with that. Let's see. That was you. So me. GMC tests the Hummer and the Hummer EV SUV. So that's a lot of acronyms. So basically, it's gonna be the Hummer with a bed on it. It's just gonna be the cover in the bed. It's gonna be an SUV, and they're doing winter testing with it. So they're gonna prove to us that EVs don't suck in the wintertime. And I got the other window open over here, but I thought it was April 3rd or something like that. It
is April 3rd because that's my sister's birthday.
Oh. Right. So April 3rd, gonna be with the GMC Hummer EV SUV, which again they're gonna have limited availability. Right. Oh yeah, do the Tesla model. Get people fired up. Put your deposit down on a vehicle that you may or may not want because you don't know what the heck you're talking about. So they're going to go with that, and they're doing winter testing. I will tell you, there is a video I'm excited about coming out tomorrow that I'm doing. I got a phone call today from a auto supplier, one of the largest in the world, and they're building, I want to say it without breaking embargo, they're building a rear axle that's going to blow your mind, and it could be the same rear axle that the F-150 EV truck is using and the same rear axle that the GMC Hummer EV SUV are using. So this company developed the Ford backup assist, and they've developed a bunch of other stuff for trucks because a lot of times suppliers come up with ideas and they pitch them to OEMs. OEMs agree when they buy it and they put their own name on it. It's kind of what happens. And so I got a very interesting phone call this morning at 7:30 because my friend was in Michigan at 9:30 that was talking about this stuff. And so I have a very interesting video for you tomorrow. I was watching the video on it, and very interesting. So details coming soon. I'm under embargo, like Jill described what embargo was. I can't say anything else, but I'll tell you tomorrow afternoon about 1 o'clock Eastern. Pay attention. Video's coming out. And it's going to be very short and quick for me and them talking about stuff, and I'll do some stuff in the background. But it's going to be very, very interesting what's coming out with that. So, yes. So, GMC Hummer EV SUV, which, come on. It's not going to be as popular as a Hummer truck is going to be. It's not going to be, I don't think. I don't know. What do you think, Jill? Are you more excited about the EV Hummer SUV or Hummer truck? I keep on looking at EV in there, but it's just a Hummer. Let's just go SUV or truck.
Very nostalgic feelings about the SUV.
Okay.
The Hummer H3 was actually like the fourth vehicle that I ever drove as a test car when I became a journalist on automotive space. My first vehicle was a Lincoln LS. And then I switched to GM vehicles, and the and you want to say, like, what not to, like in today's world, like somebody who has just started writing about cars would never get a vehicle that size to drive in the city of Chicago. I'm just going to put that out there. So it's like, oh yeah, let's give somebody who owns a coupe and who lives in a city who's never driven a big car before, let's give them a Hummer H3 and see what happens. Thankfully nothing did. But no, it did not fit in my garage, and parked it on the street. And my sister was visiting at the time that I had it, and here's my big Hummer memory. Like, she's like, "Ooh, this is really cool." So she's new to my job as I am new to my job. And she's like hitting all the buttons, and she's like calling the SOS button, hitting the OnStar button. And it had just rained, and she opened up the sunroof, and it went whoosh with all the water inside the vehicle. And I'm like, stop it. You are no longer allowed to touch anything. And so to this day, because she did that, and like the third or the fourth vehicle that I ever drove, like Jonathan gets in the car, my husband, and he starts like touching everything. And I'm like, nope, you are not allowed to touch anything, because I've had that happen before when we both end up getting like drenched with water that is on the roof because somebody accidentally opened the sunroof. But yeah, so I'm actually more excited about the SUV because I have very fond memories of the Hummer H3.
This brings up something. So Jill was on New York Vinny. Was it New York Vinny radio show? And so I listened to this radio show with New York Vinny, New York Vinny, if you've never heard him, I had never actually heard him. I knew he was a journalist, but I'd never heard him. He's a guy who has a very New York accent. And I was listening to him.
Yes, he is.
I was it was at late. I was brushing my teeth, whatever, listening, and he's just playing out loud. And I was like, man, he is a total New Yorker, like absolutely New Yorker. But the thing that came up was he asked you how long you've been doing this job, and you said like 20-some years.
I've been in this job for a really long time. I say almost 2 decades.
Yeah, so you've been doing this job twice as long as I have, and so I think it's pretty interesting.
I started writing when I was like 5. About cars.
You're right. No, well, yeah, maybe, but come on. Yeah.
No, when so it's funny because we're joking about my age in the comments, and somebody's like, oh, so she's my sister's turning 29, and I'm like, well, she's 10 years older than me, so she's turning 39. I'm not 29, so whoever was like, how is Jill younger than me? I'm probably not, but I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I'm just going to say I started writing when I was really young. I was probably the youngest auto writer when I first started writing, and I was next to Sue Mead, who is a friend of the channel. There was one other woman at the time, who shares my birthday, and I cannot remember her name. She's Denise McCluggage. So other than Denise McCluggage, who is, unfortunately no longer with us, and Sue Mead, like I was the only one, well, I should say one of the only females in the industry at the time. So, yeah, I've been here for a while.
So if you don't know, Jill actively does not discuss her age. She actively hides it. She makes it in her dates. And so I have a fairly good ballpark of how old she is.
Oh, I told you how old I was the last time we saw each other.
Right. Well, no, you didn't.
Wait.
No, you
actually,
did not.
No, I didn't. I just confirmed what you said.
You confirmed what I said. I have a fairly good idea how old she is based on some biographical information she's given me over the years that I pieced together in my investigative journalism viewpoint. I'm going to tighten my top button here. In my investigative journalism viewpoint, I have pieced together. I have a ballpark idea of how old she is. It does not matter to me how old she is. It doesn't really affect anything. But so Jill does marathons, and she will actively put different birth dates down on different marathon registration forms just to screw with people. Yes.
Sometimes they say I'm older. Sometimes they say I'm younger. Although I don't know, I don't go too much older because they actually give you awards. Like if you're really fast in your age group. And I imagine if I said I was 60, I would probably win some of those awards. And I don't want to do that.
Right. So, I mean, you guys can sound in the comments. How old is Jill Simonello? And you can, I will tell you this. I did some research on this. I did some deep digging on this.
You researched my age?
I did. I did some deep digging on this, and she has done an exceptional job in hiding it. She has done a very good job in hiding it. The information is not out there, and so yeah, so it's very interesting. Gene says, remember Sue Mead from Car and Driver? Sue Mead has been around for, she's done a lot of work through the years, different outlets. She's done work for our outlet. She's a dear friend of mine. We've done events together. We've done drives together. Yeah, so everybody knows Sue Mead. Everybody loves Sue Mead. So yes, so it's very much like. I was listening to Alex say the other day. He was doing a Mach-E review, and I actually watched Alex quite a bit because he and I. Because I have to argue with him. so I have to argue with Alex, so he makes me watch his stuff because make sure I argue with him back and forth online. And he had said that the auto journalism reviewer world, the people that actually review the vehicles, is rather small. And I agree with Alex. The people that actually review the vehicles is rather small. There's not like a 1,000 of us. And so you can kind of count on your hand the people that you know that do this job. And so when we're traveling, it's basically a bunch of us that all know each other. That's what happens. They throw like a intern or like a just starting out person every once in a while, and that person gets eaten up in the first couple of days because it just depends on what they can handle it or not. It's a weird world that we're in, and so yeah, Tim is a youngster. Yeah, so I bought some more Crown today at the store, and they had to check my. The lady looked at me to check my age. And I said, do I have enough gray hair sticking through my mask? Because I started pulling my gray hairs down below my mask to make sure I didn't get carded for the whiskey. Yeah, so, yes. So.
Oh, I one up you on that. So I was at the grocery store with my husband a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And the person checking us out thought I was his daughter.
Wow.
I was like, okay, Jonathan, it's time for you to get a haircut. Because so my husband is older than I am, but not that much older.
No.
And he is starting to get gray, but he doesn't color his hair. He doesn't care about his appearance at all. And he went to Arizona for college, so he has definitely, probably wrinkles before his time. And but it was so funny. I just looked at him and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm totally remembering this forever.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely that way. Was it me or you? Let me say one more thing. The Ford EV, I was listening to Ford's work truck show. So I did the work truck show this year. I don't know if I'm where I'm at with this. As far as I'm going to do work truck show forever. I should show you this guy. This is the magazine I get from Work Truck Show, NTA News, and we get all the, try to not too spotlight. But as you can see, it's going to cover my face. It's a tabloid size thing. And I get this like every other week, and it's filled with work truck news. I mean, what do I got? Western Star in the front. I got Kenworth. I think it's Western Star. I'm just, and it's filled with all sorts of stuff. And it's a segment that I really haven't covered, and most people don't cover work truck stuff because you just buy the same truck all the time. It's so fleet business, and it's brand loyal. But I did do the virtual. I didn't make my trash can. I did do the virtual online work truck show. And listen, so Ford had a thing there, Chevy had a thing there. My friend has Western Star, so I did a Western Star thing too. So, friend who had been known for many years. But Ford did say that mid-2022, the F-150 EV is coming out, truck. And I don't know, we probably have had a date, and maybe I've missed a date over the years, but mid-2022 is now their official date, which means... there was some news that the Ford Maverick, maybe Maverick or whatever, Ford Bronco truck, whatever. There's a Ford C, what they're calling a C pickup, being built in Mexico. They built like 10 or 15 of these, and they're going to show them off pretty soon. So that's going to round up the year for Ford. Looks like Super Duty, looks like Raptor, looks like this Ford C Maverick Bronco truck thing will come out later this fall. And that's going to be Ford's year. And then next year will be the Ford EV, which again... Magna, which is the company I talked to this morning, has a really interesting video coming out tomorrow afternoon. You want to make sure you put on your calendars. I'll have the video going live, and it's a very interesting platform they developed for the new EV trucks. So there's something going on with that. So I just thought it was interesting. I saw that note and I thought, I don't know if we covered that note before. I don't know if we have talked about when the date is, but that's the date. And no compromise, payload and touring, and to be determined whether it has rust on it or not. Should we talk about rust for a minute?
We can in fact talk about rust for a minute if you like.
So I feel like the rust conversation destroyed the channel last week because not only was I deeply involved in this rust controversy, somebody called it Rustgate. I did a podcast on Monday with the Garage Talk guys who talked about Rustgate, but you got involved as well in the rust conversation. So what I wonder from you is that, take me through your vantage point. You had seen my video. You saw me. We got quoted. Us. We got quoted in Car and Driver, in Power Nation TV, in The Drive. I'm sending you stuff. You're reaching out, doing interviews. So, besides that awesome pillow off your shoulder, what else really? I know that pillow's amazing. But what was your viewpoint on that? I mean, so you see me go through this, and I kind of dragged you through because of the, you didn't have to, but what did you think? What was your thoughts on it?
I think, so I've started writing a follow-up story to the stuff that we've done. I've had a couple of conversations with people who don't want to be named. And one of the lines, and I don't know, maybe it may end up not being in the story, but I basically, in the intro to my story, I say that rust, like Ultron, is inevitable. Does anybody get that out there? Do you get it?
Ultron? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Ugh. I told John you wouldn't get it, because, so maybe it's coming out, but the Infinity Wars. So, and he's like, I am inevitable.
My 9-year-old watches X-Men all the time.
But so, well, it's not X-Men. It's not X-Men. It's the now I can't even. I'm like blanking. It's not the DC Comics. It's the other universe.
Marvel.
Yes, Marvel universe. The Infinity Wars. Everybody, Ultron is the guy who snaps his fingers and half the world dies.
I've seen this 16 times because my son refuses. My son is a big movie guy.
Inevitable.
Okay.
He's inevitable.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So, I don't know. Maybe it's coming out. But at any rate, so my viewpoint is rust is inevitable, but like 2 months after you bought the truck, that's a little bit much. And like somebody commented on the story that I wrote that they had 500 miles on their truck and were experiencing rust. And so that to me was a little bit of an eye-opener. And in some of the conversations that I had, somebody thought that potentially the problem was COVID-19. That these supplies were out there and then they sat on a shelf or whatever before they were installed. And, when they went to Ford, engineers look at stuff like this and they're like, is this going to affect the life of the vehicle? Is it a problem? Is it going to hinder what's going on? And if they don't think that it's a big deal, like chances are it already had rust on it before they installed it on the vehicle. And so then they put it on the vehicle and they're like, it's not a problem. Nobody's going to look at it and it won't it won't affect the life of the vehicle or the performance of the vehicle. So just go with it. They just didn't expect somebody to like crawl under the truck and say, what the heck? And, so I thought that was interesting. And the other interesting thing that somebody said is that the rust, as long as it's not hollow, like it's not over something that's hollow, like a pipe, actually performs a protective coating on the part. So to try and remove it, as people are like, oh, I'm going to go and sandblast it, I'm going to get rid of it. To do that actually would damage the life of your vehicle and the part. It's better to just leave it alone or take it to the dealer and let them do something with it. But these DIYers who are gonna, take a sandpaper to the rust on the truck, don't do that, because you'll actually inhibit the life of the vehicle, because that's now a protective coating. Now, if there's something that is hollow that is rusting, that becomes a different issue. So I don't know. It's just been very eye-opening. I still have questions. I'm trying to talk to people at a couple of different manufacturers. Obviously, we're getting stonewalled by one manufacturer. I have a couple of manufacturers who are like, "Oh yes, we'll try and hook you up with somebody," but it hasn't happened yet. And so I don't know. I think rust is inevitable. I think it's going to happen, but should it happen 2 months after you buy the truck? Should it happen within 5 miles or 500 miles of owning the truck? Should it come off the lot with rust? That I think is a no.
I think it's been really interesting, and we got 9 minutes left. We'll just close on this, but it's very decisive. Divisive, I should say more accurately, divisive. So people are either saying it's normal, stop bitching about it, which is a very valid viewpoint. I'm not going to argue that viewpoint. Or they're saying, no, it's a big deal. Make a big deal about it. So this channel, for better or worse, has become influential in some degree. I mean, we've covered topics that OEMs have looked at differently than prior before. I do think the truck buyers changing. I think their demands are changing. It has changed me. I'm going to crawl underneath trucks more often now than I used to before. That's definitely going to happen. So I just think it's really an interesting discussion going on. And I think as a journalist, our job is to get people engaged in interesting discussions. And I think that's what has happened. I think people are really interested in this discussion. They're really interested in what's going on. Whether you're pro it, whether you're against it, whether you think I'm terrible for bringing it up, whatever, you're discussing it now. And that's a big change to what has happened. I can tell you that I have engaged a freelancer friend of mine, Nicole Wakeland, out of Boston, who is going to go up to New Hampshire. Yeah, that's how you say it.
You got to say it right, Boston.
Who's going to go up and interview an owner at a undercoating company in New Hampshire. And this guy literally started this company after his Ford rusted out. So, very interesting interview. It's coming up probably this weekend. If she gets it to me, I'm going to run it as soon as I can because it's just a hot topic item. But we have more on this. I don't want to beat a dead horse. That's my big concern. Because, well, you heard that saying, but I mean, yeah, right? Because, I mean, we've covered this extensively, and I'm kind of done talking about it as best I got to bring it up because people are going to ask me about it. But I'm not so interested in delving into it because, again, it's two sides to this equation. What do you think? What do you feel? What's your reaction to it? It's very divisive. Divisive? Yeah. Very much
divisive.
It splits the market. Like traditional truck guys, who cares? Your mechanicals are still going to work, so who cares? The other guys who buy trucks as like suburban kind of trucks and family, they want to show it off, are very much pissed off about it. And I will tell you, I get 3 to 5 emails a day with pictures, or 3 to 5 emails or contacts a day with pictures of rear differentials and rear axle housings and mufflers and things like that. I am sick and tired of looking at rear axle housings because I've seen all of them. I know them all now. I've seen. I mean, people are sending me videos, and that's fine. People are sending me videos all the time because it's just because people are the thing. There was I went to a family event this weekend. I'll show this on the screen for those listening to podcasts. I went to a family event this weekend. My son had a birthday. We had a roller skating party. People love to come out for that. And my uncle said, he goes, everybody knows Tim is doing this right now. Jill's watching right there. Everybody's doing this. They're getting up. And they're bending over and looking underneath their truck. Every one of my friends or people who watch the video on YouTube are now doing the bend. They're now looking at their rear axle housing because it never had occurred to them before. Because it's not an issue that's been covered before. We have taken a bright spotlight and put it on this issue that never used to matter.
Yeah.
It didn't. And whether
doesn't matter is the question too.
It is. There's many sides of this. Does it matter? Do you care? Do you not care? And I said in my video, and I've said in my videos consistently now, it doesn't matter to me, but it does raise questions for the guy who's going to buy my truck next. it creates this thought in his head going, what else is wrong? If somebody says it's normal, I hope they buy the truck because they're like, oh, that's normal. It's going to buy the truck, right? But what if I get a buyer who's not a normal truck buyer, or maybe somebody who cares about that stuff? Would they have a problem with it? And yes, I still have to go to dealer, and I have to get the dealer. I'm going to get dealer's viewpoint on it. I'm going to get oil change, that kind of stuff. There's many stories I need to do on that stuff. So I think it's interesting. It's like, I don't know. It's a very interesting discussion that's been going on in the channel. I will say this. I'm excited to see TFL pick it up. I was happy Andre said something in his video. It would be nice to get a shout out because I've shout out to those guys many times. But I am glad more media is covering it because I believe in the power of the media, and the more people that cover it, the more it can become a thing Ford can address. Because so this is the thing that bothers me most about it, is the people that say it's normal, I say to them, why? Why is it normal? Somebody said to me, they're like, I don't want automakers to spray the coating on my truck because it's $1,000 to $2,000 more. And I'm like, why? Why don't you demand more for your money?
Because the thing is we found that Toyota still paints the parts on their undercarriage. And Ram, we don't quite know what they're doing, but they're doing something because they're not rusting.
Yeah.
At least not within 2 months or on the new vehicles. And so
and Toyota told me, their engineer,
it's interesting.
You still interview somebody over there, but their engineer told me on background that because certain cultures, the salesman actually show with a mirror the undercarriage of the vehicle, which I thought was really interesting. So like, it creates this really interesting question in my head, like, why don't we care? Like, did you look at the undercarriage of Jonathan's GTI when you bought it?
Okay, I'm small, but I'm not that small.
Right, I mean, the thing's got that much going. But I mean, still, I mean, but you know what I mean?
Like,
I mean,
yeah, I couldn't go over 18 inches of snow. I'm not that small.
Right, but I mean, people in the U.S., we don't care. And I just wonder, like, why don't we care? Like, why have become a culture that looks at just the exterior? Why do we just care about the exterior and interior? I mean, because engine is one thing, but the rear axle housing, the mufflers, the drive shaft, I mean, hello, that's how the vehicle goes forward. You know, right? Drive shaft. So, I mean, why don't we care about that stuff? I don't know. I find it really interesting. Did I lose Joe?
And better.
There you go.
Oh.
No.
All right. I was like, I'm driving a Ford Bronco this week, and you better believe I'm going to be climbing underneath and taking pictures.
Right. So we talked about this before. You have now started checking the dipstick.
Yes.
Yes. So now, are you going to crawl underneath the Ford Bronco?
Yeah.
So
yes, I am.
Well, no, excuse me. You're doing a Bronco Sport. We've got to be very clear.
Yes, Bronco Sport. Sorry.
My friend did a video on All Train Nation saying the new Ford Bronco will have rust issues like the F-150. He made the assumption. He made the leap assumption. Is it accurate? I don't know. But he made the leap assumption. So it's like, would that same thing? Gene says, we're shallow, superficial people. I blame SI swimsuit issues for this.
I would say we're a disposable society, and I would blame, like, Apple for this, but, you know.
Right. Philip says, I care, hence Cybertruck, because it's stainless steel. Cybertruck has, it's not going to rust. Rear seat vents, yes. Ram the body will rust prematurely. He's planning on buying a Ram a couple months 4x4. Does your gut tell you... so, Perpskirt wants to know about Tundra. Does your gut tell you we'll have a Tundra reveal this month? My gut says a lot of things. I think we are due for a Tundra reveal soon. Somebody wanted me to talk about this in live stream. In my view, it's delayed, but I believe, in my opinion, knowing the chief engineer I could do, I know he drove Ford's truck because we were discussing it a little bit, and that's not bizarre. All OEM engineers drive all the different manufacturers' trucks. I mean, it's just what happens. But I pointed out to him, I was like, that zone lighting is amazing. It's amazing. and the power on board is legit. And he could not argue back with me because it is. It absolutely is. And he's a farmer, so I'm sure that he went back to his team and said, let's add this in. Because the benefit with Tundra is that they can pick and choose what they want to put in the truck. They don't have to be, they're not going to be first. Toyota's never going to be first. But their plan is to be the best when they get it out. So, I mean, I believe they're picking and choosing the best they want. Because Tundra is going to get launched once. And 7 years later, be launched again. Or 9 years later, whatever case you want to look at it. Or 16 years, whatever case you want to look at this truck. So, I believe that Toyota is in the background. Engineers are picking and choosing what they want. They're making it work. They're going to unveil it. And then the way Toyota works, it has to be through the assembly line. And everything's got to work through that process before they announce it. So, I mean, they got loads of work. Adding one feature could be a month of work. I mean, it's just what happens with suppliers and things. So, yes. When you get to live stream, so there's a question about live stream. I'm not going to cover the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. Jill's going to do it on the website, and then I will do maybe a video tomorrow on it. Because, I mean, that stuff will get covered essentially everywhere else. And I'm just tired of doing the same as everybody else. Conversation about being trained, conversation about being that kind of stuff. So, final thoughts. We should wrap this up. Final thoughts, Jill.
Final thoughts. Go to our website. We've got stuff there.
Says the editor of the
like
website.
One of the news stories I was going to bring up, had we gotten to it, was the 8-speed transmission thing with the Silverado and the Sierra.
Yes. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's make this a longer podcast, live stream, whatever, because we had breaking news today, and I included your news in my video, and we were, that's how we worked back and forth. But you had a very interesting article I sent you, and you did some deep follow-up on this. So please let us know 8-speed transmission.
8-speed transmission. Well, I mean, and I wouldn't say it was necessarily deep follow-up, but Tim knows that I hate regurgitating what other people are doing. And so, like, he'll send me an article and he'll be like, we need to have this on our website. And I was like, do we really need to have this on our website? Because, like, if I can't make anything different or offer anything special, like, what's the point? And there's usually an F word in there as well. And so
we communicate clearly.
The news was, we absolutely, like, believe me, I do not hold anything back. But so he sends me this article from it was like GM Authority, where they are doing a customer satisfaction program, and they're replacing 8-speed transmissions in the Sierra 1500 and the Silverado 1500, and and for the 2021 model year, and it seemed like a really big deal because are they going to replace all of the 8-speed transmissions in all of the, Sierras and Silverados?
Because
and
we've covered this.
We've done some stories.
Right, yeah.
Yes. We've looked at the reliability of both the Sierra and the Silverado, and the 8-speed transmission is a pain point. And there's knocking, there's hesitation, there's, random shifting, there's stuff going on. And there's even a lawsuit. We covered that in January about the 8-speed transmission in both of these vehicles and other General Motors vehicles. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a really big deal. So we reached out to, actually, I should say, Tim sent the email. So we reached out to General Motors and we're like, can we see a copy of this bulletin? Because the only reference we're seeing is on this website. And I Google searched it, and I put the reference number in and everything, and nothing is coming up. So I see nothing except for the story from GM Authority. Okay, so here's the thing. It's going to be 90 trucks. They're only replacing the transmission on 90 trucks. I have no idea how many 2021 models they've already built, but it's more than 90. Probably a lot more than 90. And so not as big a deal as maybe we thought, but I just think this 8-speed transmission has some issues, and this is just another, step along the way. And I'll be curious to see if more get replaced, because it's a full transmission replacement. It's not just a, hey, let's put in a part here or there. It's a full transmission replacement. And it's not a tech service bulletin. There are no recalls. You know, we've seen obviously the complaints about the 8-speed transmission, but yeah, 90 trucks.
So I incorporated this video I did today because I was at the Work Truck Show, as I've said previously in this podcast or live stream, whatever. And GM had some announcements on the engine changes, and they dropped the 6-speed. They went to 8-speed throughout for 2.7 for the 5.3, I think what it was. Anyways, they've done 8-speed and 10-speed now. And the question came up in the comments, why doesn't GM just drop the 8-speed that's been problematic and go straight 10-speed? It's an interesting question because Ford has gone 10-speed throughout. Like, they could take their little Escape, and now it's 10-speed. Right, everything's 10-speed. But GM is holding on to this 8-speed and keeps using it. Now, I said to the guy online, I said, look, I said, the conversations online don't always match what consumers are feeling in the field. I mean, you know, people blow up on forums, and it turns out to be it's 20 dudes who are pissed off, and they built 90,000 trucks that month. I mean, the numbers don't always add up, but we have covered this extensively, that the 8-speed has had a bad reputation. And from a PR marketing standpoint, a product with a bad reputation, Ford Rust, would be a problem to have, and not to avoid, I should say more accurately. And so I was very surprised to see that the 10-speed is not being rolled out completely like it is with Ford. And I find that very curious because they co-developed the transmission. There's different parts, I know. There's different software algorithms, that's fine. But they have it co-developed the last couple of years, and so I don't understand why they don't just do 10-speed besides the supplier issue. And I'm sorry, but General Motors is larger than Ford. From a company standpoint, GM is bigger than Ford. They just are. And so if the Ford, the smaller automaker, can make it happen, why can't GM make it happen? It's a very interesting discussion going on right now. Right. I mean, there is no right answer for that, but it's like, It's yeah, they don't have 10 speeds to be the answer, but why is supplier issue being a problem? I mean, it's 2 speeds, like 2 speeds plus different. I mean, I'm sure there's a multitude of different reasons why there's a part shortage, all that kind of stuff going on. But I thought it was really interesting, and yeah, we actually broke news today, which I did not attend. I didn't know. I had no idea. I was watching the Work Truck Show on my laptop, like Facebook, goofing around, and I saw this news and I screen captured it because I was like, it's live news. There's no embargo, no nothing. And like we discussed, and I ran it, and it's big news. They dropped the 4.3 liter V6 is gone. The 5.3 active fuel management's gone, and the 6-speed's gone. So now they only have is dynamic fuel management, 5.3. They have the 2.7 4-cylinder. I know it's a 4-cylinder, and they have the 6.2 with the 10-speed. So and the 3-liter diesel, I should say, 3-liter diesel as well. So I mean, they had too many damn choices anyways. I mean, I put a chart on the video, and it was like so big, you can't even make sense of it. They had so many damn choices. Who knows what you're going to buy? Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting. Tony asked a question as well. I want to address this one more thing before we're running along. But is there a problem with the rear main seals on 3-liter diesel? I have seen 2 that have a rear main seal leak on a 3-liter diesel. Something that Jill and I will be following up along as we see more. 2 is not enough. I'm sorry. We need more than that, but I am following this pretty closely. There looks like there's a rear main seal problem on the 3-liter diesel. And I've seen there's a 3-liter diesel forum, Facebook group. I've been following that as well. It seems like there is a problem. I'm keeping tabs of that. But anyways, lots of tabs. Okay. Definitely exceeded time. You have to go to dinner. I have to go sit in my chair and relax. This will be on the Buzzsprout live stream. I'll put it out there too as far as the podcast. Make sure you put questions down below. Email us, tim@pickuptrucktalk.com. Easy way to get a hold of me. People Facebook me, Instagram me. I mean, sometimes I have to put this away. It just blows apart. Reach out to me. Reach out to comments on the website too. Jill's always over there in the comments. And let us know, what are you guys seeing? What are you guys caring about? I feel like this channel is a little unique. We care about the problems of vehicles more than reliability, more than other channels. And I feel like we have a little niche that's impressive. and I'm excited about that. So let us know below. Rust video coming out. Jill is in the Bronco Sport. I apologize, Jill. I'm so behind in video editing, and so we need to get. I'm actually running 2 videos a week going forward, 2 videos a day on some days because I'm so behind. This Rust issue put me way behind my calendar over there, and so I need to get some videos out, and yeah, lots of stuff going on. So, as always, Jill, thanks for watching. We will see you down the road.